Hey everyone, my name is Kirsten Ross and I'm the host of the Crowdfunding Uncut show and podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are actively getting ready to launch your first crowdfunding campaign. Every week we're releasing a weekly tip to help you on your journey, and we also release an interview every week for the podcast where we co-host the show with a successful project creator or someone who is an industry professional to help you on your journey. And you can text UNCUT to 66866 if you are in the US, or head over to crowdfundinguncut.com to grab your freebie, which is going to help you start building your audience as well. So, last week in the video, the big thumbnail that says do this first, it is how to create your customer avatar. And the avatar is really the first thing that you need to be doing to build your audience, because in order to know who you are attracting, you need to first understand who you're attracting and really sit down and figure that out. So there is a really great exercise explaining what your avatar is and why that is the most important first step, and how to do it in the previous video. So be sure to do that before you start with this one. So now that you have your customer avatar, what do we do with it? That is what this video covers. So once you know who you're targeting, the next step is to figure out where these people hang out online and what influencers they follow so that you can start to build your audience. So first off, what the heck do I mean by influencer? Well, an influencer is someone who has a large audience that matches your customer. So if your customer loves tech and loves new gadgets, is your epitome of an Apple user or an iPhone user, who else has a similar audience to yours but has a bigger audience? What you want to be doing is leveraging their audience, and you could do this in so many ways. But before we get into how to pitch and if you should ask them to be an affiliate or do a sponsored post or any of that stuff, we first just want to get the research done. I'm a big fan of bulking tasks, so it's just a lot more organized when you have a launch going on. And cool tip, it's easier to outsource to a VA or hiring a task. So the very first thing we want to do is create a list of influencers that I like to call a media list. How many do you need? Well, it depends on your resources. I like to start with 100 to 500 for a list and to iterate as we go. But if you're thinking only 500 people, I'm not a big fan of big lists of influencers, because as we're going to cover in future videos, your pitch or your email to them when you first introduce them needs to be personal. It should not be a bulk email. Journalists hate that, and you want to be personal. So I do recommend that you spend more time on each individual person and not have a list of 4,000 people that you just blast, because it's non-specific and your results from that are probably going to be pretty shitty. So start with a smaller list and then see how you go. So the next thing I want you to do is actually get into the head of your customer avatar. And we need to figure out what sorts of things they would be interested in online. So what I want you to do is take out a spare sheet of paper and start writing down keywords that associate with your audience, like descriptor words. If you have a fitness product, like it could be underwear for women, for active women, it could be a new yoga mat, it could be a fitness trainer, it could be, if that's your niche, then fitness is the very first thing you write down. The next thing you do if it's for active women, you write down the descriptor, active women. So just make a list of small descriptors, and then what you want to do is fan out the search a bit to actually see what these people might be typing into Google to find interest categories. So I have a couple of tools I like to use to cheat on this a little bit if you need to, because once you have 100 or so people on the list, you need to expand your search a bit. So these two tools are really good for that. The first one is answerthepublic.com, where you can go and type in the keyword and it will populate with a list of other relevant search terms, and those can be more things you use to search. So that is great. Or the Google Keyword Planner in AdWords. You do need an AdWords account for that. So two things you can use to find out what else people might be typing into Google. The next thing, step 2, is how to actually use those keywords. So what we're looking for are a list of places that these people might hang out online. what blogs they're reading, what communities they're a part of. So if you go into Google, type in blogs : keyword, and so write in fitness. And what this is going to do is show you at least 1,000 pages of fitness related blogs. Now, I do recommend that you only pay attention to the first or second page, as if you troll through to page 150, you're going to get blogs or websites that don't have a lot of traffic, and that's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is to find people, blogs, influencers that have a big following and get a lot of traffic, so you can piggyback on that traffic. What you could start doing is clicking through, and so take those URLs and put it in a media list. I've actually attached a copy of the media list that I use. It's nothing fancy, but it's an Excel document, Google Docs document. So that's just in the description below. So you can use that to populate it. And what you are looking to actually put on your media list are a few pieces of information. The very first one is the name of the publication or blog. You want to type in the URL, and you also want to name a contact person. So this varies depending on what the blog or publication is. So if it is a personal trainer's blog, Adam Bornstein, for example, you're going to want to write his name as contact, and then your goal is to email him. If it is a journalist that writes for Tech Hub that covers fitness related things, and then it's the name of the journalist you want, and then populate with an email address or contact information, which we're getting to in a minute. So these are the sorts of things you do. Once you exhaust that list, or backtrack a little bit, once you exhaust Google, a few other things you could do is type in those niche keywords to social media and see what comes up. Facebook groups. You could do Instagram, you could do Twitter, you can use, what is it called? BuzzSumo is another great one to identify influencers based on topic keywords. Lots of relevant things. And if you do run out of search terms, then the next thing you could do is use a website such as similarweb.com. SimilarWeb will allow you to type in, this is great to identify competition. So if you have a website, you could use that and type it into similarweb.com, and it will come up with other relevant websites, and you could see if there are any that you've actually missed. So these are all ways to populate your media list from scratch. What I do not recommend you do is buy someone else's list. You doing it yourself, or you controlling it at least, allows you to make sure that you have the right people that you would want to pitch and associate your brand with. So those are a few things. So here's a nice tip that I will give you so you don't waste hours contacting the wrong people. What I don't want to see you do is make a rookie mistake. And I've been in sales for a very long time. I know someone thought it was 24. I'm 29. Not that matters, but being in sales, you need to go straight to the decision maker, or else you're going to waste your time banging on a lot of doors talking to people who can't actually make the decisions for you. Now, pitching and contacting influencers is the exact same thing. You have to go to the person who makes the decision. So this is the equivalent of you pitching your story to the Contact Us form through TechCrunch or Gizmodo or Android Central. The thing is that inbox probably gets hundreds of pitches a day, and yours is going to be either not seen or ignored or have a very hard time standing out in the inbox. So what do you do with this information? Well, the reason you go for the influencer or the journalist that's actually written a relevant blog or article is because they are more relevant and they're the ones actually making the decision. The tricky part is actually how to find these people. So let's talk about that. If you have a physical product-based campaign, I use this hack sometimes with pitching press. What I do, since I work in the tech space, launching on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, I can look at some of my past campaigns and see who covered us, but just say you don't have that luxury. What you can do though is you can go to search for past campaigns that may be similar to yours. If they were successful, just click on their link and scroll down to the as seen in or as featured in section to see what kind of press they got. Now, sometimes they're not clickable right through to the article, but what you can do is if you see that New York Times has covered them, go back to Google, type in New York Times and the name of that project, and you should come up with the article. Click through to that article, and somewhere on that page you're going to see the author. That is the name of the person you need to be reaching out to if it's similar. Why? Well, they cover relevant topics to yours, and they could be in the same space. So, and you have a point of contact. So what I did to get Pavlok, or the Shock Clock, into Android Central, and a few of the other relevant ones that we did with past campaigns, is I went straight into contacting the journalist, and I said, hey Jared, I worked on the Taplock project, which is one you covered recently, and I had another project in the space I thought you might be interested in, as it's A, wearable, B, tech, C, innovative. And I love your work. I just wanted to send this to you, and so I just sent them a link to our campaign, and we got covered. So things like that. You look for relevant points of contact, so you make it less of a cold pitch. You try to build a relationship, if at all possible, through past work or whatever. So basically what I'm saying is go to the influencer at the top. You are most likely going to get an answer, or at least cut through all the other people who don't actually make the decision for you. So that is how you can build your media list. In future videos, we are going to be covering a few do's and don'ts for how to pitch, few do's and don'ts for how to create your story, how to stand out among the fluff, and many other crowdfunding tips videos. So be sure to check back. But thank you in advance for liking, subscribing, and commenting on this video. If you are really excited and can't wait to dig into launching your own campaign, I have a few great resources for you. So do you see on the right-hand side of the screen? There you can actually go to crowdfundinguncut.com and download our crowdfunding toolbox. That is loaded with not only a guide that's going to help you build your audience in 5 easy steps before you launch, but it's going to give you our most popular and relevant episodes to your project. So thank you so much, and I'm just really looking forward to future Funder Friday videos.